For number 1, we have Cooper Flagg, in which I gave an A+ to. I mean, this obviously does get an A+ because this was the best pick at number 1. He's a generational talent in my opinion, and I think that defensively and offensively, he has a very high ceiling in both. Also, Cooper Flagg does not usually take possessions off. He's a very hard worker, and his hustle in the NBA I think will bring a very special talent to the Mavericks. But you really can't go wrong with Cooper Flagg at number 1. I think this was the consensus number 1 pick. We all know that now.
Looking to answer. Yes!
Okay, so for the number 2 overall pick, we have Dylan Harper, in which I'm going to give an A- to. I dock him down slightly due to the fact that the Spurs have a lot of guards on their team. And I think that he'll run the 6th man for the Spurs, which will be very important, and he'll be a very pivotal player in their guard lineup for backup guards. You can tell by now the Spurs do have a lot of guards. I think his finishing, his shooting, his athleticism is all great. He shows very good signs of high upside, and I think that he'll be a great player in the future. Lastly, one small downside is that he's not an elite shooter, but he is a good shooter. At the number 3 pick, we have VJ Edgecomb, in which I'm going to give an A- to. I think he's an A- because he adds a good defensive edge to the 76ers, especially in the perimeter, averaging about 2 steals in college and half a block. He's also extremely athletic. He is a very high flyer, and I think that with that, he could probably improve his shot blocking even more. Again, having a very high ceiling like the other 2 players that I mentioned. One downside I think VJ Edgecomb has is his perimeter shooting. He shot 34% in college, which isn't horrible, but that's not fantastic, and I think that he can improve it slightly. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. Thank you. Alright, for the number 4 pick, we have Canipple, who I'm giving an A to. Personally, I am very high on Canipple. His 3-point shooting is phenomenal, shooting almost 50, 40, 90 from college. His corner shooting ability is perfect, and his catch and shoot ability is also great. And I think he can serve the Hornets perfect with LaMelo Ball's playmaking ability. He's also a pretty good driver, so if he's not open in the corner or on the wing, then he can pump fake and maybe drive to the basket with that opportunity. One downside about him is that he's not very good at creating his own shot or an isolation play. But being a wing, I don't think he entirely needs to worry about that.
Says Pat Kelsey, tough, trying to figure out who the coach of the year was this year.
For the number 5 overall pick, we have Ace Bailey, who I'm giving a B to. Now, something to keep in mind is that he didn't even really want to play for the Jazz. He says that if he went to the Hornets or the Jazz, then he wouldn't even want to play for them. But getting that predicament out of the way, I think that he is a player who has a very high ceiling, but a very low floor. He's very athletic. He seems good on defense when he wants to be. I think that that is a thing we have to look at, is that he sometimes does not give full effort. He's also a pretty good perimeter shooter, and he's a very good tough shot maker, but he does take a lot of tough shots. That's what you have to look at. Alright, and for the number 6 overall pick, we have Trey Johnson, who I'm giving an A to. In my opinion, Trey Johnson is the best shot creator and maker in this draft class. He can really find his own shot in the dribble. Like, if you really see this dude's highlights, he can create for himself so easily. And I think this is going to be great for the Washington Wizards due to the fact that they added CJ McCollum in the offseason. Him and Trey Johnson can both excel the shooting of the Washington Wizards forward, and I think make them a better team. But yeah, he's just super fun to watch. I don't know. I really think that he's going to be a great player. And the one downside I have about him is his lack of size. At the 7th overall pick, we have Jeremiah Fears, and who I'm going to give a B to. I think that he is a very good ball handler who can create his own shot off the dribble. He's also a fairly good defender as well. I think that he can add a very good ball handler to the Pelicans since they traded away CJ McCollum. I think that he will start in his first year, and I think that he will put up pretty good minutes with the time that he gets. And the biggest outlier of him is his inability to shoot. He shot about 28% in college from the 3-point line. That is not great. But I think that he can develop to be a shooter in the league eventually. Okay, and for number 8, we have Igor Demen, who I'm going to give a B- to. Now, Nets fans, it is not raps. Do not worry, please. I actually think that he is a fairly good playmaker, averaging about 5 assists in college. He's also 6'8", which gives you size at the point guard position. And I believe that he's probably the best passer in this draft. But sometimes he does struggle with passing the ball. He does have a lot of turnover problems, especially in the Big 12. He did not handle the ball extremely well. He's also very streaky in his 3-point shooting, so you never really know when he's going to be on or off. But you can always improve that again.
Traore, Demen try another three, and it goes again.
For number 9, we have Colin Murray Boyles, who I am going to give a B- to. As a big man, I think that he is a fairly good playmaker, and his post moves are honestly fantastic. Especially with his athleticism and his size, I think he can create chances for himself in the post. But the one big downside is that he is very inefficient from the three-point line, while also being very undersized, especially for his position when he's going to play the 4 or the 5. But the best thing about him is his IQ. I think that his IQ is fantastic for the game, and he knows when to take a shot or to pass it out to a teammate. With this, I think he'll improve the Raptors slightly, but not incredibly. The number 10 overall pick is Colin Murray, who I'm going to give a B to. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Colin Murray, and his pick and roll game is absolutely elite. But I think that he is a little slow and his three-point shooting needs to be fleshed out much more. He did start playing basketball very late in his life though, so he's still trying to grow into his frame. He's not only a pick and roll menace, but he can also block shots at a very high level with his long wingspan. And I mean, being 7'1" also helps too. But I do believe that if they develop his shot blocking and his shooting ability, then he can be an absolutely elite center.
Foster.
At the number 11 pick, we have Cedric Coward, who I gave a B+ to. I think he will elevate the Grizzlies defense, especially from a wing position. He is a great defender, on and off ball, and in the interior. I also believe that his shooting ability could make him become a perfect 3-and-D wing, especially with his 7'2" wingspan, which is nuts. The only thing is that he did only play in 6 games in the NCAA, giving us a very small sample size of what he could really do from an NBA standpoint, giving us a perfect example of other players like Herb Jones or KCP. God damn! For the number 12 overall pick, we have Noah Senge, who I'm giving a B to. Honestly, Noah is very good at finding his own shot. I think that he can grow into a better playmaker and a better defender, especially with his frame. He's a good mid-range shooter, but I think he needs to develop his three-point shot more. I think doing this and putting more size onto his build could grow him into a fantastic NBA player. But he is also the second youngest player in this draft class, so he has time to progress. And for the Chicago Bulls, I think he gives them slightly more wing depth, a position in which they're lacking, especially at the 4. The number 13 pick, Derek Queen, I will give a C+. Okay, to start off, I think that he is a very undersized power forward and center, especially for the NBA. He also lacks explosiveness due to the fact that he's not extremely athletic, especially for the size that he is. I don't think that he'll be a mismatch for any center or power forward in the league. Now, the one thing I do like about him is his post game and back to the basket. I think he's very good at this, giving him more scoring opportunities, especially if they switch into a mismatch on the pick and roll.
The work against the smaller defender.
At the 14th overall pick is Carter Bryant, who I'm going to give a A- to. I think this was almost a perfect pick for the Spurs. He gives off a great two-way potential in his shot and his defensive ability. Sitting at 6'7", I think that he could play the gaps well in the wing, and he could build up the ability to become a better shot blocker. I think this really helps the Spurs because they don't have a lot of wing depth, especially ones that can shoot, with Jeremy Sohan starting at the 4 and Keldon Johnson starting at the 3. So in all, I think this pick adds perimeter defense, shooting, and wing depth to the Spurs team.
They fight through every circumstance, and a lot of teams, very important stretch of basketball if you're the Sun Devils.
Carter Bryant.
At the number 15 pick, we have Thomas Sorber, who I'm going to give a B to. I think to the OKC team, this adds a big depth, especially to the 5 position. I think that he has a fantastic post game. Every single highlight you see of this man, he's just pushing his guy in to get a better angle at the hoop. I think he lacks some sort of explosiveness in the defensive and the offensive side of the ball though. And he was also out with a toe injury, which will keep him out for the summer league as well. But as a 6'9" player with a 7'6" wingspan, that's nuts. I think he really has an upside to grow into a great player. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you for watching.